Welcome to Tim's TV. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the President Trump's tariffs. Now, when you listen to the majority of the media, first of all, you've got the left-wing media, or yellow journalists, as you should call them, CNN, MSNBC. Everything the president does is wrong, horrible, just barely worth talking about. Fox, on the other hand, they go out and they find people that are against it. Here's the thing. Let's talk about the merits of the plan. Are foreign companies and countries dumping cheap steel and aluminum in the United States? Yes, they are. That's self-evident. On the other hand, is there a benefit to the American economy? Absolutely. Is there a negative? Are there losers in the American economy in that scenario? Yes, there are. Now, we are currently renegotiating NAFTA. By putting these tariffs on now, we put more pressure on the Canadians and the Mexicans to give us a better deal. It's not a haphazard thing. It's done deliberately. Now, the Canadians and the Mexicans want to keep us as the... Welcome to Tim's TV. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the President Trump's tariffs. Now, when you listen to the majority of the media, first of all, you've got the left-wing media, or yellow journalists, as you should call them, CNN, MSNBC. Everything the president does is wrong, horrible, just barely worth talking about. Fox, on the other hand, they go out and they find people that are against it. Here's the thing. Let's talk about the merits of the plan. Are foreign companies and countries dumping cheap steel and aluminum in the United States? Yes, they are. That's self-evident. On the other hand, is there a benefit to the American economy? Absolutely. Is there a negative? Are there losers in the American economy in that scenario? Yes, there are. Now, we are currently renegotiating NAFTA. By putting these tariffs on now, we put more pressure on the Canadians and the Mexicans to give us a better deal. It's not a haphazard thing. It's done deliberately. Now, the Canadians and the Mexicans want to keep us as their customer. So we will negotiate an end to these tariffs with Canada and Mexico as a bigger part of the NAFTA deal, putting more leverage, getting us a better deal. Trump is a good negotiator. Let the president negotiate the way he wants. There's no need to continually second guess him and really undermine his position. You may not like the president, but in 2020, you'll have the opportunity to replace him if you choose. But between now and then, I would like to see the majority of the American people and the American media just say, hey, let's give him a chance. This is what the president wants to do. Let's support him. And in 4 years, if you don't, you have the ability to remove him. Speaking of removing him, let's talk about what the media and the left want to do. And left media are almost one and the same. They continually call for the president to be impeached, to be removed. Here's the thing on that. We've never removed or impeached a president because he won the election, and that is exactly what the Democrats are doing. This whole Russian lie, and it's a lie. It's Hillary's revenge. Remember, the Clintons had a special prosecutor. Now they got one on Trump. Hillary took tens of millions of dollars from the Russians. That's how she bought off the Democratic Party before the primaries and screwed Bernie out of the nomination. So this is all pretty much her revenge for losing. We're tearing the country apart, benefit Russia. Hillary's in charge of it, which means she's really the colluder. But let's talk about the theory of you lose an election, you badmouth and frame the winner, and then try to impeach him and remove the winner from office instead of doing what the Constitution calls for and what democracy calls for, which is every president gets 4 years, and then you have the opportunity to peacefully replace him. If you're going to use the impeachment scenario or impeachment power of the Constitution in order to remove the president just because you lost, that is bitter politics. That is, I mean, you're moving towards open war. Remember, politics is a war by other means or just peaceful war to get a political goal. If you're going to use impeachment to retaliate, you're going to start a firestorm you may not be able to stop. That's not what the American democracy is intended to be. Let's also talk about Russia here for a second. The Democrats and the left-wing loons in the media want to go Russia, Russia, Russia. It looks to me like they want to move towards a war with Russia. Are they willing to bring back the draft and prepare to go to war with Russia? Are they willing to consider a nuclear war with Russia because Hillary lost? Are you willing to bring back the draft because Hillary lost? If you want equality between men and women, I think women should have to register and should be drafted just like men. No difference. If we're equal, we're equal. If we're not, then say you're not. But don't be equal when it benefits women. And then women can't be drafted or forced to go and fight because, you know, we're girls, but you want equality. If you want equality, that means you're going to be drafted and you may freeze to death on the Russian front, just like your male friends, brothers, and that's equality. If you don't believe in equality, that's fine. But if the Democrats are going to talk us into war, we need to consider bringing back the draft and making sure that the draft is done equally. That means men and women. We should have an up and down vote on that to see if the Democrats are really serious about Russia, Russia, Russia. Because if Russia did everything the Democrats claim they did, then it's an act of war, at which point we should be prepared to retaliate. That means the draft. Consider preemptive nuclear strikes. Let's risk ending all life on planet Earth because Hillary lost. Obviously, when it gets down to real things like that, the Democrats will probably begin to not have that much of a problem with Russia, Russia, Russia. On the other hand, I don't like them running their mouth and talking us towards a war without anybody pointing out that you're pushing us in a direction of military conflict, war with Russia, a country that has 8,000 nuclear weapons, most of them capable of reaching the United States. The United States has 6,500 nuclear weapons. Do you really want to go to war with somebody that had 8,000 nuclear weapons because Hillary Clinton lost? But that's what happens every day, and they need to be called on it. And if you call them on it, they will shut up. Nobody wants to go to war with Russia because Hillary lost. But if you don't present it that way, and if you don't get in their face about it, they'll just keep on doing it. I'm Tim with Tim's TV. Thank you. We're going to come back with another segment here. And if you hit the likes button, subscribe to our channel, please. Tell your friends about us. Whether you love me, whether you hate me, tell everybody about me.